Patriotism is loving the people who live in the country, caring about every single person, looking everybody in the eyes, every working class person, the working poor, every houseless person, every person, and saying you deserve health care, you deserve safety, you deserve a roof over your head by virtue of being a human and nothing else. That is what our party stands for. That is what we stand for. So this election is more than just two names on a ballot. It's two visions and two real realities for our country.
That was Florida Congressman Maxwell Frost campaigning for Vice President Kamala Harris and Tim Walz in Arizona tonight. Joining our discussion now is Simon Rosenberg, Democratic strategist and author of the Hopium Chronicles on Substack, and our overall poll watcher and assessor of the state of the race. Simon, where are we as of tonight?
Lawrence, we're in a good place. As you said, things just feel like they're getting better every day. The polls have shifted about 6 to 7 points nationally. We're either tied or ahead in all the battleground states. So the battleground has really changed over the last few weeks. The Senate polling is really encouraging. I think we've seen this explosion of support, volunteers and money into our party, which has made all of our candidates stronger and going to make it more capable for them to close strong in these final few months. And we've seen the baton has been passed to a new generation that over the last few weeks is clearly ready to lead. So I think we're in a really good place right now. And I think just building on something Maxwell Frost said, and we haven't talked since the convention, we've been at this a long time, you and I. And one of the things that I was really struck by last week was how the ideology of the Democratic Party right now feels like it's not progressive or moderate or neoliberal or neo-populist, but it's really based on love of country and love of one another. And I think Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, however we got here, have tapped into something so deep and powerful. Look at the video you showed earlier tonight. We are in a very powerful place as a party right now in terms of our argument, the passion, the emotions, this love of country. And so I feel like what we're seeing right now is a very, very strong party that is much more likely to win this election than the other side.
So, Simon, we're looking at polls now, latest Fox poll, for example, that shows 1 and 2 point leads for Kamala Harris in places like Arizona, Georgia, Nevada. We've seen polls like that in the past, but they were not as close to election time, which is why I was ignoring them. And I was kind of telling people you can ignore them basically until after the conventions. Here we are. What does a 2 point lead mean now? What does a 1 point lead mean now? Those are numbers within the margin of error.
Yeah, no, look, it's a close election, but we are closer to 270 than Trump is today. I mean, the polling in the battlegrounds, we are ahead or tied or ahead in most of the polls in the battlegrounds right now. Trump doesn't really have a lot of polling that he can point to that shows him in a competitive place in the election. So I think that we should, or at least leading, right? I mean, he keeps saying that he's ahead in the election, he's leading in the polls. That's simply a lie. It's not true. It's a very Trumpian statement in that sense. So I think the polls are better for us than they are for them. And we have a much more powerful capacity to close because of all these monies, the volunteers, I think a far more compelling argument. I mean, think about what Trump and Vance have done just in the last couple of days, right? They're like a negative news machine, these guys, dishonoring veterans, getting into fights with people at a military cemetery, at Arlington National Cemetery, insulting teachers and mothers. It's ridiculous how these guys are playing this end game here. And it's why I think this contrast between what you were trying to establish, Lawrence, tonight in that video of how connected we are right now and how disconnected they are, I think is also going to really matter here in the final 2 months.
Simon Rosenberg, thank you very much for joining us again tonight.
Thanks, Lawrence.